Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dragonmount. Recently, Rob from Mouth Here Talks tagged Dragonmount and some others on the HypeTrain for season 2 for the Amazon Prime Video Wheel of Time. And it's a bunch of questions on stuff that we're excited about for season 2, stuff that we're excited about for season 1. And instead of just doing like a simple Twitter thread or like an Instagram post with some images, we thought it would be fun to do a video. Particularly fun to do it with some friends. So I brought along producer and magical unicorn Kathy Campbell and Kitty Rallo. Oh my God, look at them. It's amazing. Oh, and we got a bonus companion, Dandelion.
Our favorite Dragonmount mascot.
So I loved season 1. There's a lot of stuff in season 1 that I could have did with that or could have been better. And, most of it is surrounded with like budgetary constraints. Is there any?
And
COVID. Yes, absolutely. Because I keep forgetting like COVID. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still very much a thing. It's not like it's over, but we've developed processes for it. And like,
and things are open again.
Exactly. Yeah. And, it wasn't like, it was a surprise. Like you forget like, season 1, they were literally in the middle of filming episode 6 and the world shut down.
Yeah. And the changes that had to happen because of that, I feel like have ended up being a lot of the issues that people have with the show, the blight or the ways. And it's like, well, these things were planned differently and you kind of had to go with what you could do. And I think it says a lot about the fact that it still was an incredible show, even if it didn't quite stick the landing as much as people might have wanted. I'm very excited to see what happens with season 2 and the fact that we didn't have a global pandemic shutdown in the middle.
Yeah. Surprise, you have to build 2 massive sets that you plan to film on location.
That we know of. Yeah.
Like the blight and the waves. But yeah, so anyway, season 2 hopefully is not going to have those, anything horrible happen. I mean, that's like a horrible thing happening. So hopefully, nothing bad happens.
And they lost a main actor.
I know 2.
Yeah.
Not, I guess Ingtar wasn't a main actor.
I love
Ingtar. Yeah.
Yes, but like they lost a lead and during a global pandemic and the way they had to pivot, honestly, I can't imagine it. Like the way they pivoted and still made a full season.
Yeah.
And gave us quality.
Props for that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that.
I mean, the Ingtar edits were probably small, but like, there's at least that really big scene when like they're approaching each other in that hallway and it's supposed to be the guy in the middle is supposed to be Ingtar. And then you have Uno and probably one of the other named Shanarans in the hallway. And they had there was a big scene, like Daniel talked about, like him and the actor who's playing Ingtar, they ran up and hugged each other. And like, it was like, they had to edit that whole entire conversation out to just hi. And then they moved to the next room.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you didn't know that happened, you wouldn't have known it happened. Like
which is like
magic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, so props to Rafe and all the people there, the writers, the editors, post-production. They did a fantastic job with the issues that they had, and I'm really excited for season 2. But particularly, what are we excited for? That's what this hype train is about. So let's jump into the questions. So I'll take this first one. My favorite episode in season 1. I'm going to go with the first one. I remember sitting and watching it. We were lucky enough to be shared early access to videos from the Amazon press interactions that we had. They give us access to their press website, which was awesome. Thank you. I hope we get it again for season 2. But watching that first episode, even with my email address across the middle of the screen, hearing the characters just say their names, like on the screen, like someone go Perrin, I was like, huh! Like it was like, it touched me. And then like Maureen and Lan channeling like together, watching them like his movements and her channeling, like she was picking things up and throwing them perfectly in time with his sword movements, and he was killing Trollocs just in between everything. And seeing their interactions in that first episode where it's whether it was like comedical with them in the bath, or if it was them fighting combat, them having dialogue privately, them having dialogue in public with other people that they don't trust yet. They showed that relationship so well. So it's got to be that first episode for me.
My absolute favorite episode is definitely episode 4. This immediately captured my attention and my heart. I loved seeing the dynamics of the Aes Sedai. Aes Sedai are my favorite like group in the books, and being able to see them in each of the Ajas, you can tell how the showrunner and the directors and everything wanted to make the Aes Sedai feel separate. And getting to learn more about the warders and the whole part with Logain, and just like that whole bit made it my absolute favorite, especially when the end, when Nynaeve just comes in and kicks ass.
My favorite episode is also episode 4, Dragon Reborn, which also weirdly, book number 4 is my favorite book. So I don't know if there's some correlation there. Almost the same reasons as Kathy, but seeing the greens on screen, it called home to me. It gave me chills. It gave me tingles. It like the writers, the producers, everybody, they knew it wasn't just like a one sentence description of like, oh, the blues like to meddle in everyone's business. Oh, the whites are super logical and cold. No, there was depth to it. And it made the Aes Sedai real people, not just, oh, you're a green, a blue, a yellow. And then Nynaeve at the end. So Nynaeve in the books was also probably one of my top favorite characters at the beginning, and seeing her at the end, just, I think I cried. I think I cried.
Question 2 is, who is your favorite character from season 1? My absolute favorite character was Egwene. So Egwene at the beginning of the books was not my favorite. And so falling in love with her and her character, the way Madeleine Madden portrays her and the dialogue and everything just made me absolutely fall in love with her. And I cannot wait to see what comes in the future, because by the end of the books, I absolutely adored Egwene, and anyone that had Egwene hate, I would like argue with. And so the fact that so many people get to enjoy her from the beginning, this just goes to show how strong the show is, because it is able to take the character arcs and retroactively make these great characters that by the end great at the beginning too. And so I'm ready for more Egwene. Gimme.
All right. I'm going to go with a minor character because I was not expecting Valda. I'm going with Valda. Like, his charisma and just delightfulness while fully standing in the dark side. Like just this evil, but he was just effervescently, delightfully torturous. I don't know if this says about me, but and he's eloquent. Eamon Valda. Like, I am not a fan of the children, but I'm a fan of him.
I was forced to pick a favorite. So my favorite in the books and in the show is Maureen. I love her character in the books. I love her character in the show. I hate saying this because it always sounds so like braggy, but I'm going to say it anyway because it also makes me happy. I have a character in the books. It's fantastic. And when I was told I was getting it, it was ecstatic. And Maria was like, do you want to know who it is or do you want to be surprised? I said, I want to be surprised. Harriet read my part at a Jordan Con, and that's how I found out. So anyway, that was amazing. I say that to tell you how amazing it felt when I said to Rosamund when she was doing a live interview, like, you are Maureen in my head now. When I read the books, I see you as Maureen, and it's perfect. And she pulled that comment out and said my name and said that and said, oh my God, thank you so much. And it's like, I just got goosebumps again. But she's amazing. I love her. I love her character in the books. I love that it's like, she's Gandalf. She begins the journey. She's the quest giver. She's the teacher too for all of the kids in the beginning. Her and Lan a little bit because like Lan kind of teaches them weapons and stuff, but she's so deep. And I love her cold collectiveness, while at the same time, if you understand her character, you can read underneath that to see what she's really. So Maureen, 1,000%.
What is your favorite piece of dialogue from season 1? For me, it was absolutely a no-brainer. It's when Egwene and Rand are in episode 1, and he tries to give her that berry from his pocket, and she looks at him and says, "Has that been in your pocket all day?" Like that, because leading up to that point, I was honest. I was rolling my eyes. It's like, ugh, if she eats it, like this is not that. Ugh. But when she said that, I was like, yes. It was just a very boys don't always think through things moment. And I loved it. I loved it because it was very realistic, but still just like intimate and still like, oh, did you really? You did.
I went with what just popped into my head first for this. It was when Matt said, when they were kind of arguing over, do we follow Maureen? Do we not follow Maureen? He goes, my lady does shoot fireballs, so let's try to stay on her good side. Like, I was just like, that was like not in the books at all. It was completely additional, but it helped frame the character of Matt perfectly. I was like, this is Matt slipping in comedical things, especially after something that's just so serious. Like they were talking about that horrible dream they had. And then like, you know, they're running, people were just killed. Nope, Matt's joking around. Oh, it was perfect Matt. It was peak Matt. And it was hilarious too.
My favorite comes when Maureen is with our two Rivers ladies in the White Tower, and Nynaeve is like grumpy like she normally is, and Maureen says, you know, I know you want to catch up, but like the Amirlands is like waiting for us. And Nynaeve says, let her wait. And Maureen says, Swan Sanche waits for only one woman, and it's not you. And the depths of like the layers in that one line are just fantastic. I just loved it. It's so creative, just throwing that in there. And I can't wait to see how that relationship might grow in season 2.
And number 4 is, which character did you not expect to love so much? I definitely did not expect to like several of these characters as much as I did. But for me, even in like the first handful of books, Nynaeve was a difficult character. It's not that I didn't enjoy her or I didn't like her. She just frustrated me, because if it was just admit that you were wrong, admit that you did something bad, or tell them the truth, communicate with your friends. Like it was like every time she would like be trying to like make herself like better off, like look better in a situation. And it was always, if you just gave them this one piece of information that you're holding back because it makes you look bad, X would work out better. Or, you know, if you stopped fighting with this person because you have to admit that they're in a status above you or something like that, you know, it would make this situation so much easier. She frustrated me early on in the books. I enjoyed her character, and she was great because, you know, she was kind of like, she seemed to be the only one thinking of like the well-being of the Two Rivers kids. And, you know, especially I was reading it while I was in, you know, high school. So having that person, like, you know, someone who's a little bit older, but is still kind of like protecting you, it would be a situation that you don't really like, but she was also awesome. Like she was cool, and she had awesome abilities. And I have an affinity for healers and things. I don't know why, but yeah, she was definitely the one I didn't expect to like as much as I did in the show. I absolutely love her character in the show. Amazing. Every portrayal of her is fantastic. The depth that they added to the braid in the episode 1 with when they were doing Egwene's hair braiding ceremony was awesome. Just, I love Nynaeve in the show so much.
For me, I was shocked to discover how much I loved Leandrin. Not just because Kate Fleetwood is flipping incredible and portrayed this character flawlessly, but being able to give a little bit of texture to someone who in the books is pretty much like, oh, you know, this is a bad guy. Like the fact that it balanced that to give more humanity to her, even though, spoiler, yes, she will become a bad guy. Like I just love trying to figure out her machinations and like her as a character, and also because Kate Fleetwood is incredible.
All right. So in the books, Egwene, I didn't dislike her, but I didn't really have any affinity towards her. I was like, okay, she's kind of a do-gooder and a go-getter and works hard and is smart and yay. Like, I don't know. But in the show, there's a level of drive in her. And I love how they showed her choosing, like actually choosing to pursue her life versus like staying with Rand and having a farm and having 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. Like, I love the depth that they gave her, and I was not expecting to fall in love with her, but now I am fully Team Egwene and cannot wait because obviously, you know, we know how it goes in the book. So now I'm like, oh, I'm actually excited to see her storyline instead of just reading it and being like, oh, okay, cool. This is her apartment. I'm like, ooh, she's up again. So yes, Team Egwene.
All right, question 5. Who had the best outfit in season 1? I definitely think everything that Alana wore was flawless. She managed, I always wondered in the books, you know, all of these specifically like the Green Aja running around in their silk traveling and like fighting in fancy silk dresses, and I'm like, that seems interesting. And seeing how they managed to make it work and in such an incredible way. I especially loved her outfit in the White Tower. The fact that she showed so much, you know, cleavage, but still was clearly a badass. You know, it almost looked like armor on her shoulders, but still was just gorgeous. It's beautifully cut, beautifully placed, like fits flawlessly, and I'm pretty sure everything has pockets because she needs snacks.
I did enjoy all the Aes Sedai. I love the differentiations. Really like the white cloaks, but where I'm going to go with this one, honestly, I'm going to say Narg, because I cannot imagine the Trollocs are not CGI. They all have a personality. They all have different aspects to them. And I cannot imagine making an outfit for something that doesn't exist for people on stilts that they can still move in and potentially fight in. And so kudos to the creative department. I loved the Trollocs because it was real. It was not CGI. And yeah, I'm going to call that an outfit.
I'm actually going to change my answer from what I originally thought I was going to say. So I was originally going to say Siuan, you know, Sophie, because she, I mean, all of her outfits were amazing. And, you know, that's a good reason not to pick her because I feel like I can't choose between all of her outfits. An outfit that I hated in the books that I thought was stupid and ugly that I was like, wow, it's pretty cool in the show. And that's the white cloaks, all of the white cloak armor. Like, I was like, wow, they look awesome. The officers, the general soldiers, like the questioners versus the rank and file, like all their armor was really sick. I think they're doing a good job with making them seem less like a joke in the show and seem more formidable and scary. Like, I hate them. Like I vehemently hate the white cloaks, but I love Abdul Silas and I love Eman Valda's character. And he looks intimidating, but while at the same time, like super awe-inspiring a little bit. Like he would make me stop for a second if he walked into a room, not just because I know who he is and how horrible he is, but because he looks intimidating and he looks like just so cool. I just love their armor. It's awesome. I can't wait to see them like in battle with it and you get a little, you know, scuffed up and dirty.
Number 6, who portrayed their character the best and why? All right. I had to think about this one. It's I'm going to be honest, it's a toss up. There's between like 6 or 7 of them, but I'm going to go with good and bad. I'm going to go with Nynaeve. There's so much more to her than just being this like angsty, angry. She is Nynaeve from the books, but then you can actually see it in a way of a fully realized character that's not flat. She was wonderful. But Padan Fain. I can't imagine a better Padan Fain. Like, he is Padan Fain. The smile, the whistle, you could see it in his eyes. It just full embodiment of his character. Like, he is. If I saw him in the street, even just like, let's say at a cafe in LA, I would still be scared.
So for me, this one is Hamed Animashon. While he looks like the Loyal that we got in the show looks very different than the Loyal we get in the books, and for completely practical reasons, I completely understand why. And Rafe made the right decision in that. As I'm sure most of you who are watching know, he originally had said we had to choose between a more book accurate Loyal with less on-screen time because it would cost too much money versus a slightly less book accurate Loyal with more on-screen time. And he chose wisely, because Hamed is amazing. Like, his voice, as soon as I heard him talk, I was like, oh man, damn. Like, okay, all right, here we go. I couldn't ask for anything better for an on-screen portrayal of Loyal. It was absolutely awesome. And then the practical effects, like his makeup is great, his facial stuff, and like his hair and his hand prosthetics, which Hamed, when he did an interview with Kathy a couple of months ago, you should go check that out on YouTube, shameless plug. It's absolutely Loyal.
Okay, Daniel Henney is Lan, period. I feel like he was able to pull his own self out and become Lan. Daniel Henney is Lan. He is a warder, and he takes it very seriously, and you can see in everything that he does on screen and off. And I am just thrilled to be able to see more of him.
Tell us about a moment that made you unexpectedly laugh or cry from season 1. So I wasn't expecting to have a lot of any emotional reaction from Patton Fane. As soon as we found out the actor who was playing Patton Fane, Johan Myers, his face, his smile, like his eyes, he just became creepy to me because like I was just terrified of him. And as soon as we saw him on camera when he was talking to Matt in episode 1 and his whistles, everything that he did was just amazing. And then we got that kind of shot of him lounging on the throne in Faldara with the box that has the Horn of Valir. And I just laughed out loud. I was unexpectedly, I was like, this is hilariously terrifying. Like he feels so comfortable sitting on the throne. And then it pans over and there's 2 Murdrils standing there. And I laughed again because I was like, oh my God, like they're following him. Yeah. Patton Fane, Johan Myers, he's amazing.
Okay, for me, the moment that made me cry the most and as a surprise was the emotion that I felt when Lan took over as chief mourner in Steppen's funeral. The acting by everyone in that scene was incredible. Of course, Maureen's like reaction and the eyes glistening and all of that, but seeing how fully Daniel Henney let down his guard and just embrace the emotion behind what he was doing, I get like choked up a little bit when I think about that scene.
Like Tom, I wasn't expecting to have a lot of emotional reactions to the show, and like Matt's one-liners, I was cracking up, and like Kathy said, that entire episode was emotional. That whole episode, I cried the whole time, pretty much. But some backstory, I don't know if it's full public knowledge, but the founder of Dragonmount, Jason Denzel, and I got invited to the super, super secret preview of episode 1 and 2 in LA with Rafe Judkins and the writers Uta Brieswitz and A.K. Schumann, the directors. And we got to watch it in a theater in LA with a very limited amount of people. And seeing it on the big screen, it was the fight scene. It was the fight scene of Maureen channeling with Lan, with this perfect dance. And the way that Daniel Henney and Rosamund Pike, it's like they'd been together for 75, 100 years. Like, I started crying. It was so beautiful and so powerful. Just seeing the Aes Sedai magic come to life. I was not expecting it. I was in the theater, like my hand just in my popcorn, just like, ah. It was absolutely beautiful.
Question 8 is, what moment was the best homage to the books? Without a doubt, the Song of the Fall of Manetheren was beautiful. I know how hard Rafe fought to get that scene done, but also how beautifully filmed it was. It's complex anytime you have anyone moving, as we've seen with the oohs and ahs of the walk and talks from the West Wing that are now, so done everywhere. But doing it on horseback with that many characters and getting as many like close-up shots and just the beauty of the story. Like, it takes my breath away when I think about the magic that Rafe was able to pull together.
For me, it's more of an Easter egg. To me, that the amount of Easter eggs in the show just proves that, yes, they know the books, they've read the books, they were giving us all this information that they can't give us just in these small little aha moments. And my favorite one is when Matt is talking to the youngest Grinwell child. She's listed as Helga in the credits, and she mentions that her doll is named Brigitte, which, as we know, would be this wonderful archer who's legendary that little kids would grow up knowing. And just having that Easter egg in there and that name drop in such a way that if you hadn't read the books, you'd be like, oh, you wouldn't even think about like, oh, it's a little girl's doll that was named. But for us who do know, it's like, oh, okay, there's more to come. And that's what I loved.
So for me, actually, not to bite off Kitty, but she does have the best ideas. It's an Easter egg as well. And that is just this quick shot of Maureen wrapping a little statue in a piece of cloth. And of course, like anyone who has read the books would notice that that little statue is a man sitting cross-legged. I'm not sure you could see his girth correctly to gauge whether or not it was a fat man, but it was the small fat man terangrial. And that is a great little, like, just a little, like, a way, especially within the first 30 seconds of the episode to like maybe quell some of the fears maybe the book readers had. Like, look, here's a little thing for you to like make sure to keep an eye out for other little things, like, and he put them in. There's a lot, and I'm pretty sure Rafe said there's ones that he hadn't heard people like comment about yet either. So I'm really interested in seeing what they do for season 2 with that. But yeah, I think the little Easter eggs, but specifically that fat man one is the one that stood out to me, are the best homages that they could do.
Number 9. Aside from Blood Snow, what was your favorite cold open? We're not allowed to say Blood Snow. So I'm going to go with episode 8, The Eye of the World. I loved seeing the Age of Legends. I loved seeing the technology and even the dialogue, how verbiage and lexicon changed and how it was incorporated, seeing the skyline, because there is so much history, thousands of years of timelines in this entire series, and getting a glimpse of what was and what will come again was, I really, really enjoyed how they did that and how it was a cold opening. Loved it.
The cold opens in this show are some of the absolute best in any show I've ever seen, and that's not even being hyperbolic. I love cold opens. They're some of my favorite ways that shows can add a little bit of comedy or a little bit of like separation from the main storyline. And my favorite one, other than Blood Snow, which of course freaking incredible, was episode 4, The Dragon Reborn, where Logain is in the city that he's taken over. He's about to kill the king, and you see both sides of the male half of the power coming and weaving, and just the moment where he's like, oh, by the way, you're coming with me. Like, I'm not going to kill you. Like, it sets up Logain's character in such a way, especially since book readers know he's probably going to show up again in a fairly significant manner. So excited that it's one more piece of the puzzle of other characters in the books.
So we can't say Blood Snow. Thanks, Rob, by the way, for these rules.
You ruined it, Rob.
Just point of order. Blood Snow wasn't my favorite because it was so cool. I mean, it was so cool. But also just the technical work that went into it, the amount of training that the actors put into just to do that, it was amazing. Anyway, I digress. For me, my favorite cold open, other than Blood Snow, was episode 2, Shadows Waiting. And I mean, we've said it a couple of times already, and he deserves to get it as much as possible. Abdul Silas as Eamon Valda is just amazing. Like, he's so amazing. From the moment he came on screen in that cold open, I was terrified of him and I hated him. Like, it was both of those things. Like, I felt he was a legitimate threat, and I also hated him, and he was also a little bit scary. Like, the moment that he came on screen, it was awesome. There's a theme for those who have read the books that got played out over the course of maybe 5 books in the actual written work that they are expediting in the show. And that is that the Aes Sedai are not the bee's knees. Like, they're not the be all end all of channelers, of people. They don't know everything as much as they think they do. And here we are, an Aes Sedai captured. Her hands are cut off, which makes her not be able to channel, because that is how she learned to channel. So now she cannot. And she's at their whim. She's at Eamon Baldur's whim, which is not a place that you want to be. And I thought that was a lot of interesting depth, which is another great homage to the books, kind of, too, because it is referencing this fact that the Aes Sedai get knocked off their pedestal, albeit that it happens much later. But yeah, I mean, that episode 2 cold open next to Blood Snow was easily my favorite one. And question 10 is, what was the best behind the scenes footage for season 2? The Murdrel being nailed to the door. For those who have read the books, and for those who haven't, you probably shouldn't be watching this video in the first place, but whatever. That is just after Padan Fain nailed that Murdrel to the door whilst it was alive. That is insane. And like, that image was just like immediately made me just like recall that entire scene. The feeling that I had when I read it for the first time, because I had just understanding how horrible the Murdrels were and how scary they were. And this person nailed it to a door? Like, what? And then they discovered it was alive when he was nailing it to the door, because they saw like the marks on the door from it kicking its feet. Yeah. So absolutely, that image was the one that stood out to me the most.
To me, the best moment of the footage was getting to see Egwene in the White Tower. This moment, this image is so minor to people that don't know, but the magic of the novice journey that she makes to where she ultimately ends up means that the White Tower is very special to her. Getting to see the intricate doors and windows and wall work and the costume, and the fact that this is probably a novice dress, and carrying, we don't know what she's carrying. It could be water, it could be her saddlebags. Like, any of these options are there. Also, with the fact that she does not have her hair braided, I'm just so excited to see the magic that comes out in this scene.
All right, my favorite behind the scenes for this one is going to be Lan and Moraine on the beach. They're walking, you can tell it's breezy, and they look incredibly alone and isolated. But the reason I love this shot is because it's a true behind the scenes. You can see the camera, you can see the apple box, you can see that it is going to be a long, cold day. I love the rubber boots. More in the scene, you get to see what the crew is wearing and what they're going to have to deal with the elements. And that just so much goes into filming that, I mean, this is a real life location. Sun, rain, wind, sand, probably salty moisture, bugs, and they're out there 12-hour film day. And I just love seeing the juxtaposition of these beautiful, serene, and like pseudo isolated the actors, and then the actual amount of equipment and everything it takes to make even a 20-second scene. And I love that they show us the true behind the scenes, including the crew, because without the crew, there's nothing.
Right. Our final question: which new actor are you most excited to see on screen? Sierra, Donald, or Ayula? Look, I'm super excited for all of them, obviously, but my heart goes out to my girl Ayula Avienda. It's my character. I'm so excited to see her on screen. Gimme.
Same. I am also excited for all three, but Sierra, I want to see what she does with Elaine, because to me, Elaine and Egwene were still kind of the same level for me. And I bet you she's going to make her phenomenal. And us redheads have to stick together.
And I promise we didn't plan this. Like, who am I most excited to see? And it just so happened that it was Donald. Like, we weren't like, everyone take one, because Barney Harris was amazing. And, shout out to him. I hope everything is okay. And, he's healthy and everything's all right. And we're going to miss him. But, the show must go on. So in enters Donald Flynn, and he's going to be our new Matchroom Coffin. The little bit that we saw, I was like, all right, okay, all right. I'm still a little scared because I love Barney. I have the most emotion tied up into Donald Flynn as Matchroom Coffin. So, yeah, it's definitely him. This wouldn't be a season 2 hype train tag you're it video if we didn't tag people at the end of it. So
tag you're it.
I will tag my felt brothers from other mothers, the Way of the Leaf cast for it.
I am going to tag Matt Hatch from the Dusty Wheel, my other Linfield lover, as well as Tarvalon.net.
And I'm going to tag Jordan Kahn because obviously, but then also I'm going to tag all of you. I want you to answer your favorite questions down in the comments below. Make sure to share this with everyone that you love and get them to answer this too, because we obviously had a hard time answering these questions, and we would love to know what your answers are too.
And when you share it, make sure to use the hashtag WOT, WOTS2 HypeTrain. And, we'll look for those comments and at Dragonmount, at Rob from Out Here Talks. And, if you want to reference anyone's particular comments from any of the videos, at them as well.
Guys, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe. We have a ton of other content. We go live a lot. And as always, we are Dragonmount.
Thanks
Peace.
for watching.
And that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, please subscribe, hit the like button, give us a thumbs up, or leave us a comment. We love comments, especially positive ones. And if you have any friends that are interested in the Wheel of Time, please share some of our videos with them. And as always, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Tor Books, as well as our amazing Patreon community. And if you are interested in learning about how more of this show was made or some Wheel of Time insights, you too can become a member of the Patreon community. And as always, follow us on Dragonmount with social media. And thank you so much for watching.